I have a couple more minutes, in about 2 minutes. Oh, well, let's just go ahead and start. I'm gonna wait a bit more, but it looks like most people are tuning in or are already have already joined us. All right, so welcome everyone to open discussion and various topics, class 80. Let's begin with the prayer for spiritual workers and then move into today's discussion. Make sure all my settings are correct. Okay. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right. Once again, everyone, welcome to our open discussion and various topics. As per usual, feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat on both YouTube and Zoom, or if you're joining us via Zoom, you can also use the raise hand feature to ask your question audibly. Continue where we left off last week with the handout we were looking at. And it seems I wasn't receiving all of the chat messages from last week. So hopefully I won't have that issue this time. Let's see, so last week we stopped on the Muladhara chakra. Here we are. Let me share this so everyone can see it. Again, this is not currently in the shared folder. Let me go ahead and post it there so everyone can have access to it as we go along. Okay, so if you click on the link in the description or follow the link in the description, it'll take you to our Google Drive shared folder. And in that folder, you'll see Zoom 2021. And under the 2021 folder, you'll see a document entitled Visio, the Mystic Constitution, or the Mystic Knowledge of the Makeup of Man. can follow along as we work through this handout. Before we start that, do we have any questions or comments? Yes, there's a question here regarding the fishing line technique from Dr. George King for controlling the mind. I think you've discussed it many times before, but would you mind explaining it again?
When Dr. King talked about that, he was talking about concentration. He was giving you techniques of how to control the mind. And he gave an example of how if you were out fishing, you would place the bait on the line, and when the fish take the bait, allow the fish to get comfortable to go out as far as it can, and then when it stops, then you reel the fish back in. So he was talking about this. He gave that example because he said, just like the mind, don't try to force the mind or the basic self. Allow it to take the bait. If you're trying to concentrate on something and you have designated a particular time to concentrate on or to do some type of mystic practice or concentration practice, don't try to force your mind or your basic self to just come under your control. Do it on a gradual basis where you designate the time, you give yourself preparation time, you give yourself the proper time to do the practice, and then you give yourself time to wrap it up. So in other words, when you first sit down, you're going to have all these grasshopping thoughts. And your mind going to go everywhere else except for you want it to go. Allow your mind to go out with the grasshopping thoughts and slowly, one by one, examine them and toss them aside. Examine them and toss them aside until the mind gets tired of doing that or feel comfortable enough to just turn itself over to you. And then you do what you need to do by concentrating and focusing in on what you need to focus in on. And the fact that you can ease the mind and calm the mind down in that way is steps towards controlling the basic conscious mind in bringing it to think about what you desire it to think about and not what it desires because of the surrounding stimulation. So it's a step towards withdrawing this within instead of allowing the senses to draw you out. And that's the technique that he was giving you. It's one of the techniques of the 8 limbs of yoga. I hope that answers your question.
And there's a follow-up question. How do we toss the grass-hopping thoughts?
Well, like I said, you examine the thoughts and you're sitting there for a purpose. You have designated your time for that purpose. So you examine the thoughts in the light of your purpose. And then when the basic mind cannot give you a reason why the thought is there, then you toss that thought aside. And you'll find that it's easy to do that because you've designated that time for a particular activity. The same way when you go to work and you work from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, you designated that time to concentrate on your work, to 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 remove the items or tasks that you have to do. So that's how you set your mind up. If you have a goal, if you have a goal, that goal have objectives. Within those objectives is action steps. So to bring about that goal. So when you go to set down, you have a goal to tame or control the mind. So what do? You set down and you clean up that area, and that area is designated for that goal and those objectives and those action steps. Anything that's not there for that, you remove it. It's as simple as that. So if these grasshopping thoughts come in, you examine them. They have nothing to do with this segment of time and purpose that you have given yourself. So you toss them aside. But you allow them to come, and you allow them to examine and say, oh, this is not purposeful. This has nothing to do with this particular time. And you will find that the mind does not resist you when you handle it like that. And after a while, the basic self will get tired and understand that you are in control. You, the I am, is in control.
Any additional questions? There's no more questions. You can go ahead and pick up with the mystic knowledge behind pranayama. But feel free throughout this discussion or study in these handouts to ask any questions you may have, and we'll gladly answer those for you. So let me minimize some things so I can see this better. Put this over here. So the mystic knowledge behind pranayama. The Sushumna Nadic flow of energy carries a Shakti quality of the preservational forces of all cosmic energies. The Sushumna Nadic line of force holds consciousness in manifestation on several planes, lokas, of existence, and allows man to gain countless lifetimes of valuable experience. It is said that the Sushumna Nadi has three inner channels that seem to compress all the qualities of Shakti force of the Nadic and chakra system into one minute channel that pushes upward and forward, opening the major chakras and giving tremendous power over the cosmic energies and mind energies, placing man's conscious awareness on a super conscious level. Okay, so the Sushumna Nadic flow we're referring to, look here in this diagram, is that those dotted lines going up and down the psychic centers in the center of the body diagram. You have the Sushumna Nadi as the outer layer, and the Yajna Nadi next, and the Kritra Nadi after that, and then the dark shaded gray line in the center is the Brahma Nadi. And we'll go into more detail about that next. So the first layer of the Nadic vibrations within the Sushumna Nadi is called the Vajra Nadi, a conduit inside the central channel that extends from the genital region to the head region. The Vajra is described as a hard substance like diamonds, hard but lustrous with the light and power of thunderbolts. It is said that this layer of Sushumna Nadis, the Vajra Nadi, is the place where the sexual energy Ojas connects with the brain. Ojas is the highest form of base physical manifested energy in the human body, which is a concentrated form of semen. Okay. That's the Vajra Nadi. Next, we look at the Charitra. Am I saying that right, Nima? Charitra Nadi. Charitra Nadi is sattvic quality. That's the next layer one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Quality within the Sushumna Nadi. It possesses sattvic qualities of pure Shakti force. Charitra Nadi, sattvic qualities of pure Shakti force of the three Maha Bindus. One, fire, Agni. Two, sun, Surya. And three, moon, Chandra, at its highest equilibrium levels. Oh, sorry. So next we move to the Brahmanadi. So within the Kritra Nadi is the Brahma Nadi, where the pure cosmic energy of evolution flows as the power of Kundalini. It is the Kundalini power that travels through the Brahmanadi, where all major chakras resides. Okay. So, Nimai, what does that mean that all the major chakras reside through the Brahmanadi?
It is there where we're told that the power of the Bindu and the concentrated Shakti configuration resides. And that's where the Kundalini is, the Shakti power, the concentrated Shakti power that broke up when he hit the Muladhara chakra.
Mm-hmm.
It was stabilized in the Brahmanadi uh, part of Shushana. And it's there where the Bindu can be experienced at the highest level within every chakra. So it's a continuous flow of highly concentrated Shakti consciousness.
Okay, so what you're saying, as it made its descent all the way down, and left a part of itself to which constitutes the actual chakra itself, or gives us access to that through the Bindu.
Remember.
Is it still where the vast majority of it still resides? That's why you say that's where all the chakra resides, because it's the gateway to the chakras.
Remember energy is activity. So although there it was a Shakti screen, so when the screen, when that flow of energy hit the Muladhara chakra, part of it inside the Muladhara is there. It didn't bounce back up. It stayed there because it had a mission. So it's there, but it's still in the same form, in a concentrated form, waiting to be released or waiting for instructions. So as we grow in our ability to activate it, we'll be able to actually tap into that. So yeah, you are correct in what you're saying. I just want to give a greater description in the sense that it's under the influence of the soul. It allows us to access the all knowledge space of the Bindu. And as we gain access to the Brahmanati through removing the 3.5 knot called that 3.5 knot called Kundalini, we can, we'll be able to access it and move upwards and move the dormant power, the vehicle, which is the current vehicle, basic vehicle of consciousness up through the Brahmanati and activate and open the chakras from within.
In the diagram below, where you show the three channels, I see Kundalini represented as a snake. What is the egg-like? What is that egg-like symbol for?
That's the 3.5 knot. That's the ancient symbol for the 3.5 knot, which is Kundalini, that blocks the door to the Brahmanati or to Shashana. And when it blocks the door, then the Shakti power that came through goes into what they call a Shiva state of consciousness and reveals and allows a percentage of Kundalini to extend itself as a vehicle of consciousness so that man can experience basic consciousness. Up until that point, man has he has total awareness linked with the soul and the spirit.
So symbolically speaking, that egg-like substance, that egg-like shape is a door. Symbolically speaking.
Is what?
Symbolically speaking, that egg-like symbol is a door.
Kundalini that blocks the door.
Yeah. Okay.
Or blocks. They say it blocks the passageway. So it becomes a door in a sense.
Any more questions? Any other questions? We'll move up to the let's look at the diagram on the left-hand side. We have Kundalini at the top. And on either side, yielding to on the right, you have the 5 major pranas. And on the left, we have the chakras, or the psychic centers. Kundalini being the soul's vehicle of consciousness. We'll start at the bottom, at the base, with the Muladhara chakra, the base of the spine, at the para sound, which is an unmanifested sound, and its corresponding prana is apana, or the out breath. And the prithivi is the gross solids. And we have the Spadhisthana chakra, the sex center. 62 tantric rays, 6 petals. And its corresponding prana is Vyana, or the continuous breath. And the apas, the solid liquids. Then we have the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus, with 52 tantric rays, 10 petals. There it is Pasyanti sound, or the first movement of sound. And his prana is Samana, or the equal breath. And there it is Agni, or subtle fire. Then we move to the Anahata chakra, the heart chakra, with 54 tantric rays, 12 petals. And we have the Madhyama sound, or the meaning of sound. And there, the respective prana is pranas, or the forward breath. It is Vayu, or subtle air, the element. Then we have the Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, with 72 tantric rays, 16 petals. We have Vakari sound, or a gross speech. There, the respective prana is Udana, the upper breath, and the element is Akasa, etheric sound. And up at the Christ center, or the Ajna chakra, we have 64 tantric rays composed of 2 petals. There, the element is manas, or subtle mind. So Nimai, in our pranayama practice, when we are taught to visualize the energy moving up and down the spine, are we actually affecting Sushumna at all, or we're not even close to that?
Yeah, you are. You are. You actually go. Energy is actually traveling on that side of Sushumna and through the nadis. But the secret is, and I think I gave the secret out probably more than anyone, is that what you have to cleanse the nadis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dr. King even gave a cleansing practice of the nadis. And he devised a instrument to help accelerate that cleansing.
The harmonizer?
Yeah, the auric harmonizing.
The auric energy harmonizer, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if they still sell that, but you can make your own. When I was a child, we made our own. Once we learned the specifications of it. So, but I thought it's best that that we go back to the ancient teachings and they give us, especially in Tantra Yoga, they give you the 20 or 21 impurity traits that you have to concentrate on to make sure that you are not displaying those type, and that you are conscious of those impurity traits so that you can slowly but gradually remove them from your character. And to help accelerate that along with all the other practices. And then when you do that, you have a free flow of the energy within the nadis. And then it'll be easier to balance the vital energy with the mental energy and allow it to charge the brain to give the brain the ability to balance itself in thought and imagination and visualization, and move the energy down to the base of the spine and bring this energy back up through and on the outside of the Shushunna. But until you do that, until you clean that passageway, you can accelerate the negatives instead of the positives.
Okay. And you and I think Dr. King had mentioned in previous classes that man used to breathe through the spine. I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. But part of the fall of man was our movement of energy, the front of the body, or the path of glamour. Could you go over that again?
You broke up. I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. So I remember you
Broke up. I didn't hear you.
So I remember you mentioning in the past that man used to breathe through the spine as opposed to breathing through the front of the body. Is that correct? Or is my brain?
On the higher planes, you move. In other words, that means pulling the prana in through the chakras. Remember, the chakras are part of the spine.
Right.
We don't see it like that, but that's what connects us to the universe. When I describe the reason why I describe the mystic constitution of man, so you can see the functionality of involution and evolution. Because what happens is that you can you would notice that it's all about the aura, the auric structure, the chakras, and the etheric body, and that's where we're trying to get to. Because right now we're actually living in a wasteland, and the wasteland and distortion, a wasteland of total distortion, which is the gross physical existence of man right now, and the lower astral realms, because all of this is a distortion, and it's a distortion that's happening below the heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, for billions of years, the residents of this earth did not live. They lived above that, the same way the residents of the rest of the solar system. So this area was like the wastelands or background noise. It was not meant to have intelligence living at this low level.
Mm-hmm.
But through our actions, we end up here. So now we have to. So now there was a way. There was through the many different religions and many different techniques from the masters that came here from all walks of life, pointed to us curving our mentality and divorcing this free will and having a higher standard of living, and trying to correct all the proper actions in order to raise your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big difference. So when you get to that point, then you no longer need a gross physical body to pull on the resources of the universe. You can pull on the resources of the universe through your aura, through your etheric bodies, which is through the chakra system.
Okay. So in other words, the reasons why the main methods we take in prana or energy through eating, breathing, and drinking is because of the type of body and level of consciousness we're currently operating with. But as
Right.
we increase our evolution and move, I would assume, from the heart center upwards, our ability to take in that energy of the universe is no longer limited to gross expressions like eating, drinking, and so on, but we can take it in directly to the centers in similar to way like the planets do and the higher evolved beings do as well.
Right.
So are there any other questions before I move on to the next page? Take a look at the chat. Welcome to everyone just recently joined us. We are looking at the second half of the mystic knowledge of the makeup of man and sets of handouts. You can find this handout in the shared Google Drive folder. And I did not post that link in the Zoom chat, so let me put that there now. But the link is in the description on YouTube. So you can go there and access this as well as several other handouts that we've reviewed previously. You can take a look at those, review them, and any questions you may have on them, glad to answer those for you. So there's a link in the Zoom chat, and it's also in the description on YouTube. Okay. Now, where is my screen? Here. So let's move on to page 8. We'll look at the 7 upper and lower chakras, as well as the respective groups that they belong to. So we'll start with the crown chakra. We should use this chart yesterday. The Sahasrara chakra, or the crown center, the center of illumination, is a state of godliness. That's here at the top, this white sphere. And then moving on down, we have the Ajna chakra, the Christ center, the state of divine sight, right, the commando center. And we have the throat center, the blue sphere, the Vishuddha chakra, the throat center, is a state of purification. Then we have the heart chakra. Oh, sorry, before that, in the Christ in the throat chakra, the Mahabindu, the moon, or the Chandra group. Then the heart center, the Anahata chakra. It gives meaning, purpose, and sustained willpower. Then the solar plexus chakra, the Manipura chakra, to center motion, manifestation of willpower. And those 2 centers belong to the sun, the Sura group. Then we move to the sex center, the Svadhisthana chakra. This is the home, or is also referred to the seat of consciousness for us, for humanity on Earth. And then the Muladhara chakra, the base of the spine chakra, and it is referred to as memory, time, and space. And those belong to the Earth group, or Mahabindu. And then also here, we take a look at the 7 lower chakras. And Nima has described these. As the centers for the lower kingdoms, the animal kingdoms. We have the Atala chakra at the hips, Vitala chakra, the thighs, Suttala chakra, the knees. Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting this stuff in a minute. Sorry, Atala chakra, go back up, hips, is a state of fear and lust. Vitala chakra at the thighs is a state of raging anger. Suttala chakra, the knees, retaliation and jealousy. Talatala chakra at the calves, prolonged mental confusion. Rastala chakra, the ankles, selfishness. Mahatala chakra, feet, absence of consciousness. And then at the soles of the feet, the Patala chakra, the soles of the feet, murder and malice. And if you are a student of or familiar with Sanskrit, you'll notice the Tala word at the end of each one, and that is important. There's a comment here. Okay, let me see. Give me a minute, Vivek, and I will post the link for the Zoom so you can join us on here in the chat on YouTube. If anyone else wants to join us as well. Okay, Vivek and anyone else on YouTube who would like to join us in Zoom, in the chat is the direct link. I will leave that there for about 10, 15 minutes and then take it down. So you can click on that link and it should open up Zoom for you and allow you to join us. Let me know if that link works and if you're able to join us on Zoom. Do we have any questions on this chart here? It isn't often that we go into the 7 lower chakras, but because we want to focus on the upper chakras and evolving along those lines. In the past, I remember Bernard asking you about these like cup symbols underneath the heart, solar plexus, and base chakra and throat chakra. But I don't remember what your answer was about why you had them here in the diagram. Are
Which
those
symbols?
these symbols here? There's black, like cup-like, chalice-like symbols underneath the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, and the base of spine center. The chakras.
I think I put that there to demonstrate a starting point. You have to go back to the original when I did this a long time ago.
Yeah, this is from like 2011, even before
Used
that.
this for a class.
They wouldn't be the location of the granting knots, would they?
Not really. Because I had a solar and I have one on the solar and the heart, and that's one granting knot. I think I put it as a starting point, or to show the four states of consciousness, the four sound, the four remember the four levels of sound. Because it sits in the position of the four levels of sound that was on the last diagram I did that you showed earlier.
This one, Parapasyanti, Parayama, and Vaikhari.
If you go back to the other diagram, see, it's at those four levels of sound.
Okay.
So it's a starting point of consciousness at each level. Because the sound represents consciousness.
As we raise Kundalini up each respective center, does that sound come with it?
Yeah, the Kundalini is if you go back to the diagram that Sivananda gave, and I modified a little bit. Kundalini is described as different levels of sound. In Tantra Yoga, at each level they describe Kundalini, and if you look up, the definition is related to sound. Because when Kundalini released when the Shakti power goes into a state of dormancy, it releases the celestial sound, and that celestial sound have different tones to it, and it actually play a musical tone on each chakra, and the letters have a tone because the soul uses sound in order to bring about the original samskaras that rolls out into a domino effect, creating the involution and the evolution of your life. So even if you go back to the piano, and if you ever played piano, you'll notice out of the 88 keys, there's the 50 letters of Sanskrit. So, and that sound is everywhere. And even the master said, if you take the AUM, you can get all sound, because all sound rolls back into the AUM. In order to pronounce the AUM, you have to use the full tongue. So, and that's because, the tongue is directly connected to Kundalini. Your voice is the power of Kundalini. So as I speak to you or teach you, I give you part of my Kundalini. So that's what they meant, when they said that, when they talked about the teacher. That's why they said take the mantra from the master. Because with that mantra comes the power of that master's Kundalini. Implant it in your aura to only sprout what? A seed, because that because it becomes a samskara. It's a powerful samskara when coming from the master. And the samskara is nothing but a seed. It's a mental seed being planted in the aura.
Do we have any questions before I move on to the next page? I have a question regarding the divas. I remember you saying in the past that for the animals, the divas act as their higher consciousness. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So as a life stream evolves and moves from the lower chakras up to the 7 upper chakras, does their amount of interaction with and activity with the divas change? Or does it increase as they move up and higher? Well, not
So
necessarily
what
increase.
now? Say that again.
So as the life stream moves or evolves up the chakras, right? Say from the 7 lower chakras and evolves upwards into the 7 upper chakras. Does their amount of interaction and engagement with the divas change and alter?
Yeah, it does. It does. The animal, as the animal become more self-conscious, then they are more disconnected with the divas, and they take on their own responsibility. And then when they hit the base of the spine, they become human, and then they have they have to begin to manipulate the elements on their own. Now the divas become the operating system of their bodies, but they are no longer taking direction for the divas. They have to learn to manipulate those elements themselves, and eventually become a devata, which is what a master is, which is a master of the elements, become an adept and then a master of the elements, of the sacred energy coming from the sun, the moon, the earth, the solar system, and the universe, the galaxy and the universe. Because that is a sacred power that you must gradually learn to manipulate. And the reason why we go through all these different domino effects we go through is because we misuse those energies. But once we come in line and use those energies for what it's purpose for, then we become the devata that uses the divas as an instrument to promote positive actions throughout the universe.
Mm-hmm. And so also on this chart, you have states or energies that correspond to the perspective chakra. For example, the chakra, illumination, the state of godliness, as opposed to the Atala chakra, the hips, the state of fear and lust. So
Mm.
when we're expressing these qualities, it's like fear, anger, jealousy, are we invoking or pulling energy from those lower centers or expressing ourselves to those lower
Yeah,
centers?
that's where your consciousness is operating from. You're creating a toxic environment. And that's why the ancient, even the theosophical societies in the 1800s, early 1900s, they describe the physical and astral planes as a distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And they went so far to create devices to see the distortion and to try to show people through scientific devices when you create the right mental environment. There's and they had these different screens of chemicals and whatever that they have a person think a certain thing and indulge in negative activity, and they put them behind them, and they was able to see a glimpse of their aura, maybe 1 or 2 levels of their aura, and they can see how their aura was distorted. And then they put somebody there that was concentrating on positive things, and their aura was not distorted as much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's they came up with modern terminologies, saying that we live in that physical and astral planes are planes of distortion
Mm-hmm.
versus the etheric planes that's uh, that's from the heart chakra up.
So when we're performing mantra, spinning the aura, and we're pushing down those negatives and skatas down to the lower centers and burning them up in order to clear the aura, movement of energy for the higher centers. Um, those samskaras are pushing down to the lower centers. Do those affect those lower centers, or is it just complete? We have to be pushed down that way in order to burn them up.
Yeah, I mean, it's described, and when you look at it psychically, you can see that it's being compressed, and it's burning up those centers those negative samskaras that doesn't have a lot of weight or substance to it, and those that falls down low from the pressure,
Mm-hmm.
but it creates a Savic type environment or auric pattern around the body to allow you a clear uh, communication with the higher self. And it's just like it's just using the science that man discovered, uh, is a centrifuge where they spin
Mm-hmm.
the blood
Yes.
in order to separate particles, or they spin urine in order to separate. It's the same thing. It's the same type of science.
Mm-hmm. So let me see. Are there any questions? Let me look at the chats really quick. Okay. right, so I have one more question on this. Since you mentioned the etheric realms from the heart center upwards, um, on those higher realms, there are different types of life forms as well, right? Like plants and some animal life. Um, are they operating too from the lower chakras, or are they operating on a higher consciousness than that?
On where?
On the etheric realms, like on the heart center upwards?
You said animal life?
Yes, animal and plant life on the higher realms.
Um, Honestly, I seen plant life on the higher realms, not too many animal life, what we call animal life, but it's not the same. I don't know how I can explain that to you, but it's not the same. Animal life that's there is not the same. So talk to me after the class. Maybe explain that to you.
Okay, okay.
Now you got to understand that plant life is an advanced life. I don't know if you realize that. Can you tell me why? You've been studying under me
And
for
it's
what, 10 years now, 10, 11 years.
its ability to take in energy directly from the sunlight.
Right. And it does what? What does plant life do?
Well, in that regard, it converts it into a gross type energy that we can use.
Yeah, but it works strictly with nature.
Right.
The plant life is a diva itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the divas of Earth. Just like a mountain is one of the divas of Earth, where it takes in absorbent amount of energy and release energy back out into the back to the sun in the solar system. And the body of water is a great diva of Earth too. It's a combination
Mm-hmm.
of divas, and it serves a purpose. It's an intelligence, and it takes energy in and releases energy back out, and they strictly abide by the laws of karma because it's a diva.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the water, the plant life, the mountains, the earth. Those are physical divas that we can see. We can actually see them. But without them, can we exist?
No, no.
No, because they extend their substance according to the laws of earth, of the mother earth, to sustain
Mm-hmm.
our.
Okay.
So therefore, think about the etheric realms and any animal life that's there.
It'd be a highly intelligent, highly evolved form of life.
Right.
Let's move on to page 9. And we will take a look at the energy centers. Sorry, Bob. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at your question. We'll take a look at the energy centers of the hand. I have a question here. With plants being a diva, are vegans higher in consciousness?
Um, I wouldn't say that, but I would say this, that uh, being a vegan is a way to reach a higher state of consciousness. Because we just read the state of consciousness of the animal kingdom through the chakras, and man, you know, too, because man lend themselves to that, to they place themselves on those lower astral realms. Uh, if you, as someone explained to me as I was a child, that when you, if you ate a piece of meat, then that meat bared the consciousness lower of that lower animal, and that lower animal produced that consciousness. And now you're taking that into your body. And now that is a part of you. And you are a part of it, as far as you, the physical body. So now you communicate to this physical world through that physical body. Now, unless you have a state of consciousness that can rise above that substance, then you eventually become that substance. Now, if you have the mental capability to rise above that and just use that as just pure energy, then you're not affected by it that much, which some people have the. So, but it's being a vegan is just a way to manipulate your karma and to pull on positive energy, or just being a vegetarian, period. But that doesn't mean that they all of them have higher, because I've seen vegans and vegetarians that was complete idiots and the worst people on earth. So part of the worst people on earth. So I can't say that. But and then I met some meat eaters that was some of the most God-fearing and loving people on earth, because they have learned to manipulate the energy. It's all about energy. It's all about being able to manipulate and filter that energy. I hope that answers your question.
Right, the energy centers of the hand. Let's see, what else do we have after this? Okay. In the practice of mudra yoga, the whole body, mind, and soul is used in the technique. The fingers, hands, and arm positions are the main focus of mudra yoga. The head, legs, breath, and right mental visualization are also used in mudra yoga. The reason why the main focus is placed on the fingers, hands, and arm positions is that the hands are linked to at least 5 of the major chakras along the spinal column. Each finger is not only linked to the chakras, but the flow of the 5 major pranas as well. The fingers and hands also represent the elements of the earth. During the actual technique of the mudras, the arms are used to align the finger and hands with the flow of pranas and the mental projections emerging from the major chakras along the spinal column. The following table shows the finger relationships to the psychic centers, the elements, tattvic pranic states, and the 5 major pranas and the associated chakras with each finger each particular finger. Right? So as an example, you can think about the prayer mudra, which encompasses arms, hands, fingers, visualization, the head, the spine, the whole of the body, really, and the projection of energy. So let's look at the hand illustration. And you'll notice there is a sphere or circle on each joint or knuckle on the hand. So start with ether or udana at the pinky. Actually, no, we'll start at the thumb because the table starts with the thumb. So look at the thumb. The element is earth. The tattvic pranic state is prithivi. Major prana is apana, and the associated chakra is at the base of the spine. Then we have the index finger, also known as the pointer finger. Its element is water. The tattvic pranic state is apas. The major prana is vyana, and it is associated with the next chakra up being the sex chakra. And the middle finger, the tallest or high finger usually, the element is fire. Its tattvic pranic state is tejas. Its prana is samana, and its associated chakra is the solar plexus chakra. Then the ring finger, its element is air. The tattvic pranic state, vayu. The major prana is prana, and its associated chakra is the heart center, the heart chakra. And then finally, the little finger, or the pinky finger, its element is ether. Tattvic pranic state is akasa. Its major prana is udana, and it is associated with the with the throat chakra. And then in the center of the hand, the palm, there is a major chakra, a major psychic center. Right? And in mudra yoga, we can seal, redirect, and project energy through the connection of one or two or more fingers at the respective minor chakra points. And there's also a diagram where Nehemiah illustrates several different mudras and gives a brief explanation on each one. I don't think it's in this diagram, these diagrams, but it is within the collection of diagrams. We go over several types of mudras. So do we have any questions on this page or comments? Let's see. Chat here, anything on the chat there? All right, so let's move on to the final page. Then we'll review this, and then we'll close out our today's discussion after this page. Let's take a look at the Siddhasana Mudra. Take a brief analysis of this pose, this asana. With the Siddhasana Mudra, let's start at the top left. The spine is kept straight and erect to allow a free flow of prana to be pushed up the spine from the pressure being placed on the lower region. Remember, in 2 pages ago, we were talking about pranayama, and so now we are combining everything together. You had the mystic knowledge behind the aura and the makeup of man, which led us to the mystic knowledge behind pranayama, then the mystic knowledge behind the power of mudra and mudra yoga. And now we combine all of it together with this analysis of the Siddhasana mudra. All right, so we'll look at the arms now. It says, with the arm positions straight down, it allows a free flow of energies to travel through the chakras and exit the chakras along the spinal column. All right, we'll look at the hands. Let's see if I can get all of it in frame. The hand side used here is the Chitta Mudra, called a psychic gesture of consciousness. There are 2 ways of performing this mudra. The first method shown in the picture and in figure 1 shows the thumb over the first finger with it tucked under the thumb. The figure 2 image of the mudra shows the thumb and the first finger make contact through the tip of each finger. This expresses the supreme power of the energies radiating through the thumb as the Muladhara chakra that retains the knowledge of all the chakra the soul collects and modifies the Shakti power as it passes down through Sushumna in order to manifest its presence as the root or foundation of the chakras wrapped in fabric of consciousness as a vehicle for the soul. Okay, so these are the 2 images referring to, this one here and this one here. And with the thumb, with the index finger tucked underneath the thumb, or the second gesture where is the thumb and pointer making contact at the tips. Where did I stop? Okay. These mudras help to calm the mind and usher in the power of concentration where man can obtain a single stream of thought down one channel on one object or subject. The smaller picture above shows the placement of the hands on the knees, and this connects with the nadis that travel up towards the head region, also further increasing the push of energies upwards. Oh, sorry, I should have put this before. So here, figure 1 is the Chitta Mudra with the thumb tucked, with the pointer tucked underneath the thumb. Psychic gesture of consciousness. And then figure 2, Jnana Mudra with the tips of the thumb and index finger touching is also a psychic gesture of consciousness. So now we'll look at the trunk here. The Lotus Mudra pushes the lower energies from the legs and pelvic areas up to the higher chakras and seals the flow of prana from the lower back region of the lower chakras. The pressure exerted here pushes the Kundalini, the dormant Shakti power within the etheric and physical structure, which is used as a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. Pushes or stimulates that kind of energy. For all movement within the body of man requires consciousness and Kundalini. So you're restricting the movement of energies with a cross-legged pose and applying pressure to that lower pelvic region. You're restricting the movement and energy in the lower centers and pushing it to the higher centers in the lotus posture, or in the Siddhasana Mudra. And so let's come back up here. And so we're connecting Apana and Vyana, or water and earth, in both those diagrams, with the first one, the index under the thumb, or the index and the thumb points connecting together. We're circulating those energies, water being a psychic energy, and the earth to stimulate a movement into the higher energies. And that allows us to concentrate and channel our thoughts down a single direction. So do we have any questions or comments? Is there anything you wanted to add, Nehemiah, before we close out?
No, no.
All right, if there are no further questions or comments, let us close out today's open discussion with reciting the New Lord's Prayer. Next class, I think we'll move into part 1 of the Tantra Yoga presentation. If I can remember where I saved it. So these past couple of open discussions, I've been going over some of the files that were housed in or on MeetUp. And this is one of the presentations. Nehemiah did a 3-part series on the science of Tantra Yoga and on psychic development. I do believe this series is available in a playlist on YouTube. I thought I'd give part 1 a try and go over some of the material covered in this. Wow, this is back in 2011, so this is quite some time ago. I think I'll just go over part 1 and save 2 and 3 for a workshop, perhaps, where we go into much more detailed information. Let's possibly give some practices as well, because this is a presentation on psychic development and its meanings. So next, open discussion, and probably several thereafter. We'll take a look at what is psychic development, and we'll move into mind, body, and the psychic powers. Oh, sorry. We may skip methods of advanced psychic development and move into the reason for psychic and spiritual development. Not sure yet. Let me just make sure and see if there's any. Actually, no. So this whole thing is on. I said no. Actually, we're just going to do part 1. Yeah, this whole presentation is class 1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I'm saying normally I did spiritual development, psychic and spiritual development.
Right, yes, that's here on class 4, the reason for psychic and spiritual development. But I think this presentation is just on class 1.
Do you have all 4?
I have.
That didn't get lost. I know some of this got lost.
I have 1, 2, and 3, but I don't have part 4. I think I could just do part 1 and save the last 3. Oh, it depends on the feedback from you guys. So what you guys, let us know if you'd like me to do the whole series as we go through it, and we'll, based off of feedback, we'll see how we can offer that.
The class should comment. The class should comment on is this stuff getting a little bit too deep. I mean, sometimes we, as my wife said, sometimes we speak a different language.
Yeah, that's true.
You say, especially when Bernard, you and I begin to converse among each other.
Mm-hmm.
As Bernard described, that you need prior knowledge in order to understand. So let us know so that we can get you the material, because we have over, I don't know, 1,500 to 2,000 different electronic files.
Yeah. Yes.
That explain a lot of stuff over the years. So we can give you dictionaries, encyclopedias, and all that to catch up if you're a real serious student.
I just need to make sure that the best way to do it is when we're looking at it to make revisions or go over any of the text or the language. Just make sure that instead of emailing me the file, email me a link to a shared folder, so that whatever changes are made between myself and Dwayne, they're made simultaneously.
Right.
So we don't have like 10. So we don't have 2 or 3 versions of corrections. You know, it's easier if we're working on something, even if we might end up working on the same day or time, we'll see each other in the document.
Yeah.
Okay,
you can make that happen when, right?
Yeah, I'll upload these presentations into a live document, and I'll send you the links, and so we can just make changes that way. And
I'll look at my archive. I'll look at my archive files and see if I can pull up the original documents that I worked on, and I can send it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have the complete Office suite, so it shouldn't make a difference. Even Adobe as well. So whatever program it was originally made in, or whatever you're going to be using to make the revisions, I should be able to do the same.
All right.
Okay, I'll do that this week. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday. All right, so do we have any final questions or comments before we close out today's session? Charlie, send us an email. That's you're basically asking me to open the floodgates and drown you in information. I don't want to do that. So send us an email.
Yeah, if Charlie, I could give him some basic books to start off with. That's what he want, or some Sanskrit type dictionary.
So let's close with the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive for their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
All right, goodbye. See you guys next week.
See you next time.